One of the better skies that we've had in 12 years. We can choose to listen to the angel or the devil on our shoulders, right? Right? We can listen to Jekyll or Hyde. And of course, if you're listening to this today and you're a Taurus sun, moon, and rising, or Cancer sun, moon, and rising, get ready, get set, go. You're going to extremely benefit from this. You're going to love the vibe of this week ahead.
Lunatic astrology.
Well, it's true that a lot going on in April can induce fear, anxiety, and worry for the general public. This is one of the weeks ahead where we're all going to be blessed by Venus and Jupiter, the two benefics, one exalted and one in our home kingdom. That combination of those two planets working together is golden, and we begin to feel their participation in something good trying to happen in each of our lives on Thursday this week ahead through until Sunday. So we're moving into a midweek to the weekend that I have to say is one of the better skies that we've had in 12 years. You heard me right, 12 years. It was 12 years ago that Venus in the sign of Taurus was able to send loving beams of goodness toward Jupiter in his exaltation in Cancer. Add the powerful star upon which Jupiter sits, the asteroid Ops, for a time of happiness and thrival after a time of suffering and difficulty. Yes, that's hooked up to Jupiter. Pholus for a domino effect that's going to spin out in positive ways. One small thing we do, be, or become this week ahead can have yields down the line that we couldn't even anticipate. And we have Siwa, the asteroid of a particular Slavic goddess, for the goddess means alive or living, but she also represents where we can have experiences in our lives of breakthrough. So we're going to feel a kind of lucky, grace-filled energy if we're willing to open ourselves to it. Thursday through to Sunday this week ahead. I am excited. I'm looking forward to this. I can't even tell you. Born with a Jupiter in Pisces in dignity and a Venus in Taurus, I'm quite often very fond of these characters in our sky. Now, remember, the sky isn't causing things to happen. What it's doing is mirroring what's possible, and we can tune into and tap into that, from the darkest and most difficult things that occur in the sky that affect the collective and humanity at large, down to the more intimate nature of Venus, because Venus is going to be, as a planet between the earth and the sun, caring about your little life, your individual story, your personal success or failures. And in this regard, I'm so happy to talk about this week because April's a hell in a handbasket. You know, the sky is falling chicken little in terms of war stories and Mars and an Aries lunation that's pretty intense. If you want to find out how to deal with this whole month ahead, my All Signs video is out. It's a playlist with individual videos for your sign in April. But hey, I also managed to put a 7-hour video out by stapling all of the individual drops that came out 2.5 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago or whatever, putting it into one long 7-hour video with a new introduction, 30-minute introduction. So you'll find that on my channel. Everything you need is here on my channel. Now, one thing I'm going to start with is this. Before we go ahead and break this down for your story, there are things going on in the world, right, that I often will address on Substack, and sometimes in an extended members only section here. And I will do a little extended members only section at the end of this video. That's just for people who want to know more of the hardcore stuff, maybe how I really feel about it, what I perceive as a possibility when it comes to matters of the wars in the world and the economy and all of that. But the extended section isn't at expense of what you're getting here. I give you the overview of any possible world stories that I want you to know about, but then I can speak more freely and be a little bit more unplugged and not worry about demonetization and code words, if you know what I mean. All right. So there's always a chance you might want to become one of my members, and that's great. If you don't, that's okay too. All right. My name is Lori Lothian. Welcome. Hi. I use the Western Tropical Zodiac, whole sign houses, and those fixed stars and minor asteroids. In this case, we'll talk a little bit about the dog star Sirius, sitting right with Jupiter, a powerful star of success and fame and sometimes wealth, but also a star hooked up to the sun of the United States of America. We'll also be talking, of course, about Jupiter and Venus in the first and 12-year sextile from the sign of Taurus to the sign of Cancer. And of course, if you're listening to this today and you're a Taurus sun, moon, and rising, or Cancer sun, moon, and rising, get ready, get set, go. You're going to extremely benefit from this. You're going to love the vibe of this week ahead. You know, I always have to reintroduce this, but I will again. Maybe I should record a segment and then always stitch it in. Your sun is your true nature, your core self, and your spirit. It's a part of you that comes into life and incarnates into a body. So it's really the deepest, truest part of your essence. And then it takes on a character in this movie of life or simulation, and that's your rising sign. If you don't know how to cast your chart in whole sign houses and find your rising sign, you'll need a birth time. My free tutorial is in the description box below, guiding you how to do it yourself using free online software. Your moon is how you think and feel about life. Do you know that whole like kind of Tony Robbins vibe or whatever, or gratitude attitudes, or don't let your thoughts as a man thinketh run away with you, because your thoughts, which generate the feelings, right? Life sucks. Nobody likes me. Like victim mind thoughts lead to negative emotions, as you can imagine. And so our thinking, feeling part of our being is the lunation, the moon that we're born with. And, think about the moon reflecting the light of the sun. If the sun is the spirit of you and God and the divine, then the moon is just a reflector. It doesn't have its own intrinsic light. So it's reflecting your thought forms and your emotions into this world for good or for bad. I'm quite a fan of cultivating inner stillness in my mornings, where I sit to hook up with the divine / God myself, but minimum 30 minutes, no phones, no noise, just quiet, relaxing music and candles. So I encourage all of you, as times get tough and the world gets turbulent beyond measure, that your stillness at night or in the morning, whenever you can carve away that 30 minutes minimum, I would say, but even 2 minutes better than none, it's going to help you move through reality and still the moon, calm the moon down. The moon is a reflecting, just like a pond will reflect, right? Say the sky above. Right. It does. If the pond is full of waves and chop, the reflection is disturbed, right? Of the sky, or, of the whatever you want, like looking into it, your reflection in a pond, and there's a big wind and the whole thing's rippling. It's a disturbance of the stillness and the crystalline stillness that the reflective quality of the moon can provide, should we not be imbibing in anxiety, worry, stress, victimhood, anger, blame, and attack. So otherwise, let's get going. I'm recording this for you on Thursday, April the 2nd. I do not know what the world holds. I do not know what's going on when you get this video on Monday the 6th. So I will not be able to tell you if breaking news is happening, what to say about the world and the wars and stuff, but I will give you a short code, not the extended version, in today's video. And I want you to know that this is a piece of the narrative that is just probable, not likely, but not necessarily so, right? We're living in timelines that are continually splitting in a multiverse. But we will have Mars moving into the sign of war this week ahead. He will arrive on the doorstep of Aries on April 9th or 10th, depending on your time zone. In Canada, Vancouver, it'll be on the 9th. And when he gets in here, there's a good and bad side to that. Mars is the god of war. He's been swimming in the Pisces Sea for 6 weeks. But then on April the 9th through to May the 18th, he will go into his own home kingdom of war. He's brand new, fresh, and he's full of vim and vigor because he died in the sun's heart in January, and he became visible in the sky in mid-March, and now he's full of feisty energy. He's a young Mars. It takes him 2 years to get old again. And so, yes, 2 years from now, he'll die in the sun's heart again, meaning he'll incinerate and become born again. And that'll happen in April of 28, and he'll do that in the sign of Aries. For now, the whole point I want to make is that Mars has two sides to him. He's the fireman rescuing the hero. Rescuing someone in a fire, the heroic fireman, the heroic lifesaver. I would call Mars professions EMTs, firemen, the good cop archetype, right? And the defender and protector of home and hearth and family. But he also means the decision-making apparatus that we're all born with. We can decide, we can choose to listen to the angel or the devil on our shoulders, right? Right? We can listen to Jekyll or Hyde. And so we decide, we choose, we have some personal drive, ambition, and will and motivation through the Martian energy. And as Mars is in Aries, he's just that guy. He's in fire. This is his home kingdom, and he has a penchant for conflict. But the deepest thing he does is cut, sever, and end. He always wants to divide, choose a road, which one, left or right. Your crossroads energy is Mars. In his home kingdom, he will help you find the choices you need to make the right choice if you are listening to your inner guidance between April the 9th and May the 18th. The only downside of this, because I'm going to do a whole video on Thursday, this video comes out Monday, really diving into Mars moving through Aries. The only downside that I can tell you about, obviously, is he's a war god and a war sign. And we have Neptune in the sign of Aries for holy wars, and we have Saturn for constriction and constraint on things to do with Neptune, oil and water. So the Strait of Hormuz has been obstructed. So when Mars enters into Aries, is it good or is it bad? It depends on if you have a knife in your hand, that could be a fantastic tool for, say, cutting up your vegetables, but that same knife can be used to hurt somebody. I am trying to say that Mars is just the guy that you can use either which way. How will world leaders use this energy? Well, Mars is unfortunately going to be in a war sign, so we have to be careful. But Mars is also going to travel over the sun of the nation of Iran, and that will benefit them in terms of winning the situation, being in a greater strength in terms of this conflict, which I don't believe will end until a minimum the end of April. And I'm going to probably bet on Polymarket for that one. So that's a shorter story about that. On the extended members, I'll talk a little bit more about some of my deeper, darker fears, like things connected to the nation of little wasp nest in the Middle East. And we'll cover that in the extended members only. Brief ending of this, about 10 to 15 minutes, where I digresseth. I often have outros in every single video. Okay, I do, if I remember. And before we leave this session today, talking about your sign, if you wanted to click the outro, the timestamps are there. I'm going to tell you a really cool story. I love to talk about synchronicity, magic, and miracles because my life has been full of them. So I will be sharing a recent tale with you. Now, let us get going. We're not going to really dive into the war stories of Mars because we're going to cover that story instead. On Mars's operation through Aries for 6 weeks. That's a drop that's coming out on Thursday. I hope you'll watch that because I'm going to talk about the synodic cycle between Mars and Saturn and how it's a 2-year reset for the rest of your life. All right, so let me show you the sky so you can see the beautiful essences of what I'm talking about. And remember, I told you we're going to talk about some goddesses and some activations here, and Siwa in particular, alive, live, living. But she's also involved in breaking down and breaking through for major insights and ending of fixed beliefs, fixated beliefs, in fact. So it might even be a good idea for me to take a screenshot of her delineation for you, and then we can look at it together. And I kind of like that she's like very feminine. She's a woman, Slavic goddess for women. I'm seeing a lot of sky stories indicating women coming to the rescue. And I keep wondering if it's Tulsi Gabbard because Mars is moving through over her sun and through her own Aries stellium. So therefore, we may see Tulsi Gabbard coming out, maybe doing some kind of heroic act of disclosure. Mercury will be joining in April as well, mid-month onward. And so that's where the Tulsi Gabbard voice of disclosure, voice of reason, voice of, what do you call it, whistleblowing? I don't know. Something could happen there. Let's go ahead. Let me get the picture up for you guys. And I do have a little screenshot for you first. I can make it bigger, I think. Yeah, I can. Okay. Just want you to take a look at Siwa, okay? Because Siwa, Siwa, is an asteroid, by the way. I'll show you the write-up. She happens to be positioned on the south node of fate in Virgo. She's at 13 degrees or so, or 14 degrees, but she's trining. She's creating a trine to Venus and Jupiter. And I'll be showing you this so in the picture so you'll know why it matters. Trining Venus and sextiling Jupiter, and I'll be drawing that for you. But I want you to see what she's about because I am not I use her, but she's new to me. So it's better if I read the software delineation instead of me trying my best to get it all right. So this is Pholus. Okay. We'll be talking about Pholus. Hang in there. He's going to be activated. I'll show you him in the sky, the domino effect. And there's Siwa. But, I find Pholus can be a domino effect for good and bad in the client's charts, right? Like you have one small thing, like a friend says, hey, come out for dinner tonight at the bar or whatever. My friend John and I are going out, and you go. And then in that bar, you meet somebody and then you go on a second date. And then he turns out to be your love of your life. And then you have kids together and whatever. It seems like, oh yeah, I'm just going for dinner with my friends. So you can do some small thing. This week I had some tiny little incidental endeavor could occur. And all of a sudden you are like dominoed to a very profound destiny. And Siwa is the mother goddess, and Ziva, meaning alive, live, and living. And it's funny because Jupiter is also the goddess of children and life, being involved in a process of breaking down or breaking through, which leads to major insights, ending of fixated beliefs, crisis of death versus regeneration, and accepting something must break down to make way for something better. I'm going to keep it simple and call it the breakdown to breakthrough, breakaway kind of energy as we go through the story of how Siwa intersects this narrative as she is activated on the south node of fate in the sign of Virgo. We just had an eclipse in Virgo, right? That happened on March the 3rd. So this may kind of tie in to the aftermath of the Virgo eclipse. And the other asteroid we'll be talking about is Ops. I don't need to show you that. I can just talk about her. She's one of my besties. And she is the wife, opportunity, but she's also the wife of Saturn, and her other name is Rhea. And she really represents when you've been struggling, things have been difficult, something's hard in your life, and something's got to give, right? It's got to be a better way. That's my favorite expression when I'm struggling with my production schedule or my life. I go, there's got to be a better way. I just say it to myself, there's got to be a better way. Probably I should be saying, dear God, show me the better way. But there's an expression that you probably have when you're overwhelmed, frustrated, struggling, and you're going through really big hardships, guys, like loss of loved ones, separations in relationships, financial anxiety, and just real difficulty. And in that regard, you can understand, like there's a good old expression from, what's his name? Neville Goddard. Somehow, some way. It's so playful, right? Somehow, some way, my financial problems go away. Somehow, some way, my sadness leaves me now. Somehow, some way, my health problem is resolved. So find it like a lighter attitude. But I will say that having Ops with Jupiter, having his wife, Saturn's wife, Rhea, sitting with Jupiter on this beautiful dog star and talking to Venus Thursday through Sunday, something profoundly good is trying to happen. I'm only going to add one more thing. A lot of you get back to me on the comments saying, oh my God, you were so right. And this is true. And don't forget, it's general bell curve astrology, not a personal reading. Okay. But that said, what if opportunity or goodness is always trying to reach us and we close ourselves off from it? Because before I started to pay attention to synchronicity about 15 years ago, and really start to cultivate my attention that the universe is telling me things all the time. It's trying to reach out to me and give me the answers I need. I even use Bibliomancy. I just pick up a dictionary or a book and I can give me a message about the situation right now. And I land on the perfect word. So I seek the signs, I seek the guidance, but I also pay attention to the guidance that's continually streaming toward me. I think that the synchronicity guidance system, which is God's divine kisses, I think that synchronicity guidance system is playing in the background all of the time, like music in the elevator, or like, really low, like your car radio is on really low and you're talking to your friend in the car and you can sort of hear the music, like, and then you stop talking to your friend and then you hear the sound of the music in the car and you go, oh my God, I love that song. And you turn the music up. That's how we get in touch with synchronicity and God's divine path for us. We listen in. We're always so busy talking to other people, talking in our head about everything, talking or distracting, on scrolling, blah, blah, blah. We don't listen. And that's the other thing. You want to do a prayer? Go ahead. But if you don't listen for the answer, there's no point. So I really want to tell you that this is a week to listen in. Take some time for stillness. Jupiter, guru, dispeller of darkness, the goodness of everything, the wisdom and the knowledge and the truth, with opportunity and thrival and goodness after times of hardship and struggle. If you're not listening, you're not going to hear the signal. No matter how, God talks in a still small voice within. It doesn't scream. God doesn't scream. God just doesn't scream at us to get our attention. It's up to us to listen. So there's a story for you. It's true. It's my life story. All right. So I'm going to show you the sky, and I hope that wasn't my pulpit moment, but I'm feeling very inspired lately to get more deep into the spiritual stuff in my channel, in my own life, because at the end of the day, if I pass away and my gravestone says astrological weather girl, I'll have to come back and try better next time. Because that is not my ambition in life. I've had too much magic, too much synchronicity, too many miracles, and too much faith in the divine to cast myself into an inconsequential role. Here we have the sky. This is what it looks like on April the 6th on Monday. And you'll notice that Venus is catching her wave through her home kingdom. She arrived here on March the 30th and leaves on April 23rd. And therefore, something good is trying to happen with love and nurturance and peace and friends and friendship and pleasure and enjoyment of life, some Venusian characteristics, okay? And then the other part of it is we have her sextiling Jupiter, and Jupiter is on what I just described, the happy endings and thrival after a time of difficulty. This is Ops. And you'll also notice Pholus is over here. Now, I love that Pholus is trining Venus, and it's going to get more exciting as we get to Thursday through to Sunday. This means that whatever the domino effect is, it's going to be positive. And I want to draw on here with my little drawer to show you something. Now, it's not at the perfect degrees yet. That's okay. But we're going to end up with this configuration. What this is called is a wedge. It looks like a door stopper, the old-fashioned wooden door stopper. Okay. So the opposition between the domino effect, which is here, and Jupiter and opportunity and thrival and happiness after times of hardship is here. And then this out pictures where Venus sits. She's delivering it. She's the one that's saying, okay, and from a domino effect moment, some small event that can snowball into something much larger, you won't know it. You're not going to know it this week because it's a small event. Just because it's going to domino into a snowball effect or domino effect later is why I'm pointing it out to you. Something is happening Thursday to Sunday that seems inconsequential in your life that will have huge positive consequences later on. This Venus here is trying her best to do the best she can in her home kingdom. She's strong and she's with Uranus, right, through until April 24th or so. And then on the 26th, both of them will be in Gemini. Now, we didn't have her sextile in Jupiter. We had it 12 years ago, and we didn't have it last year because Jupiter entered into the sign of Cancer around June the 9th last year, and he leaves at the end of June this year, exalted, but very powerful. But Venus couldn't catch him in time. By the time she got to Taurus, he had moved on past a degree-based sextile. So they never really hooked up last year. So we get it once this time around, where these two very benefic and very helpful and very positive planets are working together on our behalf. So that's powerful. And look, the thing I also want to point out is that when we add this story, Siwa's retrograding, be closer to 13 degrees when we get to Thursday through Sunday with the North Node. And then we have another story. We have an Earth trine. We do count this because the node is a real body. Like, in other words, these guys are all talking. And that Earth trine is very practical. Good things are trying to happen connected to money. And if you have any kind of idea of what this is, that's called a kite. So ultimately, what these configuration does is not only trine with Earth, which is resources, safety, material security, groundedness and practicality, but look at this part of it, right? And then that thing takes off and flies in the sky. Now, this is a kite that's going to bring something positive to our lives because Venus in dignity and Jupiter in dignity is a part of it. But the South Node is what we let go of, and it's fated and destined. So in order to have a breakthrough or a break-free moment, Siwa, get out of fixated and fixed patterns, we need to surrender something. And I'll be talking about what that is, or might be for your sign when we go through the all signs shortly. What are you letting go of? Will have a domino effect in your life. What's good news or opportunity is emerging, and where are you going to find the sweetness of life, that nectar of enjoyment, and the trust in the divine. This is really about trusting in the divine. Here's your phrasings for the week. Something good is always trying to happen. Or under this sky, go home or go big. Or Rumi, you're the universe in ecstatic motion. Why don't play small? All right, those are some just coming to mind spontaneously, possible phrases that can guide you through this week ahead. The universe is a friendly place. The universe has your back. Those are other sentiments here. Now I'm going to stop for a second. I'm going to go ahead in a minute and we're going to do Aries, but I need to clear the drawings. So not stopping. I'm clearing that hot mess. And I think we're going to start with Aries because I think it's good to do that. Let's just start with Aries and let's go through each sign. In the Archetypal Universe by Ren Butler, he talks about positive and Venus Jupiter energies together as grand happiness and enjoyment, positive and supportive relationships, a gorgeous and expansive beauty, and an impressive taste and style. But also, he says, the glory of love. So I could say the glory of unconditional love, because Jupiter exalted in Cancer, a sign of emotion. Venus in her kingdom would be also the glory of a higher love, a deeper love, an unconditional love, but that's rooted in the everyday, rooted in the practical world of Taurus. All right, so engage in that as well. Kindness to strangers. I know so many people from the nation of Iran, and I walked into a bookstore yesterday to get some Starbucks coffee, and then the bookstore is stuck to the bookstore and the Starbucks are together. And I saw the woman from Iran who works at the till at the book section. And I went over and I said, I'm so sorry, your country's going through such a hard time. And I know what her position is. I mean, and it doesn't matter. I love her unconditionally for her own struggles, because I know that she's one of the Iranian people I've met who wants the overthrow of the current regime, right? Even though the Shah was awful before that. But on the other hand, I know another person who's an Iranian female who almost sold a bed to me and my daughter, bed mattress, and she's the opposite way, right? But I feel for both of those women, and I'm really happy to honor just who they are, whether I believe or whether their philosophy, thought, or belief about the situation is in alignment with mine. It doesn't mean because I disagree, I don't love. So this is part of our problem in our world today. People literally cannot love because they disagree, because there's so much othering going on, right? You don't see it the way I see it, then you're evil, you're bad, you're wrong. Okay, why are we doing that? Because dark forces and the demons have put us against each other and made us angry at each other, and we just keep squabbling away like kids in the playground, and the parents are and the demonic parents are enabling that to our detriment and to their benefit. And that's your top 1% who rule the world. No, not the politicians. Let's continue. That's probably something that should be in my extended sections. And here we go. We're going to start with Aries. So let's move ourselves, first of all, to the right visual field. You're going to see, as we move into Thursday, Friday, the Venus at 12, so you can start to feel even Wednesday time zone dependent. All right. But mostly we're going to get a hook up here. And more so on Thursday. So Thursday, Friday, Venus begins to engage Jupiter. Certainly on Friday, Venus's day, through to Monday, you'll feel this. And it's really exact or perfected or acute right here on Sunday. And you'll still be feeling the afterglow on Monday, maybe even Tuesday. So let's just say Thursday through to Monday, here's a vibe. We're coming into it, and it's very, very positive. And also, we're going to now move our chart to watch what it looks like for each sign. We're going to use the whole sign house system for that allows for general predictions online. And it also allows for Time Lord tools. Please learn how to use your whole sign houses. And people go, oh, it doesn't look like me. No, it actually does. It's just you thought you were something else until you saw this. And now let's go ahead and talk about Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. In the beginning, I explained how to listen to Sun, Moon, and Rising, and go back and watch the intro. And as we already talked about, we're going to talk about Thursday's drop this week. This is a Monday drop. We'll be bringing your attention to Mars, okay? Moving through your sign for 6 weeks. It's a very big deal for you. It only happens every 2 years, and it'll be April the 9th to May 18th, and it's going to be very powerful for you because there's also extraordinarily rare stellium here as well. So we're not covering that. What we're talking about is the other story. What is it like for you to experience a breakthrough energy in your 6th house vis-a-vis your 12th, which is self-undoing and addictions, karmic vows, ancestral patterns. If you are ready for that breakthrough, break free, because of course Mercury rules that south node Siwa, then this is a time this week ahead, Thursday through to Sunday, you're going to feel the opportunity come for a really transformational moment to break an old pattern and a fixated way of believing or being in your life. And you can break free of patterns that connect to ancestors and past lives. What kind of negative patterns happen in the 6th house? Workaholism, being a slave to your work. Or it could be a breakthrough, break free lesson to do with debts and indebtedness, or especially in Virgo, this need to serve everyone else but yourself. There's just something wanting to change here, and may connect to family patterns growing up where you saw one of your parents being a selfless, sacrificing martyr at the expense of their own life. That's a turnaround for a lot of Aries coming up this week ahead, and opportunity to thrive after times of great difficulty and struggle, and to have a renewal and happiness come to you in the 4th house. Well, that's your home. That's you at home. That's what you do alone at home. But it's also what you did in your childhood, who and what you were in your childhood and how you were raised. And some profound healing is happening here, because you can see that this is a very powerful force of goodness trying to occur. What you heal in your childhood could have a domino effect in your career. There's actions connected to work and career this week ahead that are going to have a long-lasting and very startlingly profound result. Okay, you're going to see something big happening. And don't forget, with Mars in your sign, you can make a decision. The power to decide one path over the other, to choose, is at a level that is fabulous for you. Venus wants to lush you up in your money, your facial appearance, like your skin, your nose, your teeth. She wants to lush you up in your speech and how you talk. And she wants to give you some really positive blessings around your financial resources. But in this big Earth trine here, we see that she's also loving you up in your work routines, your health, your professional advancement and your professional direction and your professional accomplishments. And it also involves financial stuff. She will crash into Uranus a little later, closer to the 23rd. But right now, she still is opening up doors of financial opportunity that aren't even necessarily surprising, although some of them may be a little bit surprising. And this is like, okay, is there a financial opportunity emerging connected to your home, your real estate, your property, your ancestors? Is there any chance that you could come into some money from an inheritance that you didn't expect, or a spousal support situation, or a spousal in-laws even under this sky? That could happen. Otherwise, maybe you could be more prosperous and bounteous and abundant in and from your home, which wouldn't surprise me. Jupiter is the prosperity generated from things you do in the home. So if you're like me and you work in your home all the time, that's why I'm moving to a 2-bedroom. So I have an office versus I'm working on my kitchen counter today, that you're going to find yourself being able to really make some transformations in the prosperity level. Venus is in the house of movable possessions, and Jupiter is very big and luscious and wealth energy. And you might acquire in a surprising way a new possession this week. There's a bit of surprise. She's co-present with Uranus. And because Venus is in the house of what you put in your mouth, and because she's hooked up to that mouth in the house place of the sky, talking to Jupiter, who rules your house of addictions, your 12, there's a possibility of releasing a food style or dietary habit, or a sniffing and swallowing of some substances that are bad for you, and turning a corner pretty significantly in those kinds of self-undoing patterns of what you ingest and what you put into your face, if you understand what I mean. A very funny way this could work out is you suddenly get some kind of financial gain or win that allows you to, do a facelift or something. And could you get some money off of this story in multiple ways? Yes. Where is it coming from? It's hard to say, but the moon rules Jupiter from the house of windfalls. And it's possible that some of you may come into some kind of financial abundance Thursday through to, let's say, next Tuesday, that you might feel like, you just won the jackpot. Like, this money is like, you can't believe you're so lucky. Now, that's not going to happen for everyone, but it certainly could happen. And it certainly wouldn't be a bad idea, therefore, this week, Thursday through Sunday or Monday, to play a lottery ticket just in case. All right. I hope that's something that you appreciate. And if this inspires you or gave you some guidance that you needed, please let me know in the comments, and please like and subscribe. If you are enjoying this content, that really helps my channel grow. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, first things first, Venus is your Lord in your sign. She's the Lord ruler of Libra and Taurus. And so here she is in your sign. And so she's here once a year, but only last time she was in this place sextiling Jupiter was 12 years ago. So to say it's a positive week ahead is probably an understatement. And you might get some kind of thrival and abundance and happiness and glorious relief, like green thumb relief from some area of struggle that you've been experiencing in your third house. Now, the third house has got many meanings. It could be struggle in a skills-based educational path, or in your online social media realm, or in your marketing and selling positions in work, or connected to your writing projects, third house, or struggles in your neighborhood. This is not the hood for you, or struggles with neighbors or siblings, third house meanings. There's hardship, time of hardship, the time of difficulty that you may have been going through. I do want to mention, however, that the positive side of this is that Jupiter is going to bring, he's on a powerful dog star here, some very positive blessings. And you're going to feel it Thursday through Monday, as I said in the intro, as a kind of blessed relief and maybe even as an opportunity. Now, the moon, who rules that Jupiter placement, is going to be traveling through the weekend in your 10th house of career. So you might find as you approach this weekend coming, like around the 12th to the, I have to get my times right. The 9th to the 12th. 9th to the 12th, we're already on Sunday here, that you could find yourself having a professional breakthrough. And if you're looking for a job, a new job opportunity can emerge because that's Venus is ruling your house of work. And she's hooked up to this Jupiter, and Jupiter is ruling the house of work gains. And so there's kind of like a tag team to focus on positive developments up here in your career and workspace, connected to also your job space over here. You want to let go of something in the 5th house. And the 5th house is a house of pleasure. Now, we like our pleasures, enjoyment of life, and bring satisfaction of being creativity, art, and the muse. But sometimes we have to release something, right? It could be anything. It could be with Mercury in the 11th house, you might have to let go of too much socializing and social time and doing things all the time with friends. Maybe it's time to let that go and release that, because maybe you want to actually have some kind of pattern interrupt, break free and break through energy, get out of fixated waves of being. Siwa in the 5th house, because Venus is flowing to Siwa, and then this is all flowing to the domino effect, Pholus in your 9th house. I guess you could say something like you're on a dharmic turning point. Dharma is about one's purpose in life. One small thing you do, Pholus could say, it's one small thing connected to foreigners, foreign places, international themes, universities and colleges and learning centers and all of that. But it also just means like this is your true north. This is the best use of your talents and skills in this life. That's the direction that Pholus wants to domino effect something out. And so the snowball starts rolling down the 9th house, right? The snowball itself is ruled by Saturn in the 12th house. So if you had an addiction or bad pattern or habit, and the domino effect is ready to go, one small thing, I thought, I'm making a joke, but like, I never thought I'd go to AA, but my friend invited me to her meeting because I'm not an alcoholic. And then you go to the meeting, and not only do you like the meeting, you make a really good friend there, and then you hang out with sober people. And the next thing you know, you're leading your own AA chapter 2 years down the road. So like a small invitation this week, Thursday through Monday, that's just an example. Right. Small invitations can lead to big results, especially if those smaller invitations involve wanting to do something that brings enjoyment, right? Or even if you think it's not going to be enjoyable, it will be down the road. Venus in your sign is what you desire, what you find you are looking for in terms of what brings you pleasure, what you wish to attract to yourself. Okay. Spend some time this week asking yourself, what are your non-negotiables that you've attracted into your life? Like, in other words, a non-negotiable is like only a date honest brokers, like people who tell me the truth. But then you've been dating someone who keeps lying and you keep sticking with it, right? I'm just telling you, what is my non-negotiable? What do I truly want to attract to myself? What do I truly desire? Because if you don't desire to be lied to, then why are you letting it happen? So you're going to have a little bit of week ahead of reflecting more deeply on your own desires and what it is you wish to keep in your life, especially when it comes to work and health. Okay, as one of the big ones there, Venus rules your 6th house. But also just in any setting, where are your desires on track, or are they rolling away on you in a direction that you're not happy with? If you've been struggling in any kind of job and it doesn't feel right for you, then this is an opportunity and breakthrough and break free energy to move away and find something new in a lucky and easy way. And finally, you might have unexpected blessings coming to you from siblings. All right, this week ahead, Thursday through to Sunday. And you don't surprise. And then you're going to be, hey, thanks for that surprise, bro or sis. But they could have surprises in their life, or you could get some surprise news or information from them that really lights your life up Thursday through to Sunday. If you like this kind of content, Taurus, please subscribe. Thank you. Gemini, I'm told by my YouTube manager to do more call to actions, like ask you guys to subscribe. I always just roll it off, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, but I'm earnestly asking you to subscribe. Thank you. All right. My YouTube manager said that I should ask more often. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. So the first thing I want to say is you've got this energy of abundance in your second house, exalted abundance, Jupiter. And yeah, he was retrograde for several months in the fall through till early spring. He also was last year squaring Saturn. So while you might have had a lot of abundance since last June, you might have been thinking the cost is high because the Saturn square would have meant something like it's grindingly difficult. But all said and done, the best is here now because he's direct. He's not in a direct tight square to Saturn, and he's opening up thrival and opportunity and abundance for you in your second house of money, resources, earnings. Now, where you've been struggling in a financial matter, okay, is very likely to turn around. Also, where you've been struggling when it comes to vocation and calling, because that's another meaning, voice, vocation, calling. We speak and we have a voice, vocation, vocare. It's all Latin stuff. So you're struggling in your calling, your vocation, and maybe you're abundant, but you're exhausted. And now you're going to notice that this is a turnaround week, Thursday through Monday. You're going to notice that Jupiter was wanting to bring you some new beginnings, opportunities, a time of thrival after the time of struggle. And he's talking to Venus in the 12th house. Now, there's only one other way I want to say it. Venus can bring you more money in very exciting ways, at least through to April 23rd, but you begin to feel this activation on, around the 9th to the 12th. Venus can bring you surges of money with Jupiter or some new ease with money. If you make money from far off places, foreign companies, you live in a foreign country, you have digital income or borderless revenue, this is a nice glow, right? And at the same time, this is what you get addicted to. Break free, break through, and your oral habits. So yes, you can indeed stop sniffing or swallowing bad things for you in a very easy and beautiful, graceful way. If that's a part of the plan, then look no further than a sort of intrinsically easy rehab vibe where you just suddenly figure out you're not interested in that substance. You want to deeply let go, release, and surrender something that's going to give you a pattern interrupt, a new direction in life, because you are no longer in a fixated way or have a fixated belief. Now, it can have a very strong root to do with your family of origin, mom and dad. And it may connect to how mom and dad showed you this is the way it works when we go to work, son or daughter. Now, I have lots of lessons to learn. My mother was disempowered as a housewife, and my dad was a workaholic, right? So it's like they're two extremes, right? So I'm working through my own childhood wounds there as well. I don't want to be the hardest working astrologer on YouTube is my nickname. Here it goes. I have a regressed Gemini sun. So looking at your childhood stories connected to your career ambitions, okay? And especially when you consider things to do with a kite around money, around, the kite goes like this, around money, around, work, around patterns from childhood, and regarding how you identify professional success. The other thing to pay attention to is the snowball effect. This is like 8th house, 4th house, and 12th house. If you're on a spiritual path looking for divine illumination and moksha or spiritual awakening, then this can be a very powerful Thursday through to Monday breakthrough. And one small thing has a domino effect. Maybe you do one small thing in the local neighborhood and it dominoes everywhere into a spiritual enlightenment. But on the other hand, I think that we could also look at Pholus here is a money house, right? This is a money house, chunky money. So one small thing could have a domino into a larger thing. we can make a joke here, but I got a phone call a couple of days ago, 3 days ago, from a hospital, the Children's Hospital Lottery in Vancouver, Canada, or in British Columbia, and they asked me if I'd donate. Of course, I did, and because I didn't ever pick up my phone when I don't know the number, and I did it that time. See, so I did. I donated. I bought a little lottery ticket from them, and so what I want to bring to your attention is that small domino could be the lottery ticket. And this is the House of Hospitals up here, and this could bring some financial prosperity to me should I win. Now, I'm not counting on it. I'm going to keep doing my job until I win a couple $1 billion. All righty. So what else can I let you know about? You got a little bit of a problem with Mercury in your 10th house, but he's leaving soon. As you approach the week after this week, right, that I'm talking about, Mercury will enter into Aries. So one of the things you might have been going through is a lot of confusion and miscommunication and uncertainty about your career path up here. Mercury has been here for 2.5 months, right? He leaves April 15th, but he got here back in February 7th. That's probably been like putting you in a kerfuffle about your spirit, your career path and your professional direction, and you're changing your mind and moving back and forth like a yo-yo, or things have been confusing and communication has been confusing, especially if you have employees. I had some of that. And so there's something going on there where, that's going to be coming to an end, and you just want to notice that that's on the way. So whatever I'd say is by the time you get to next Tuesday the 14th, and with Mercury crossing into the next sign on the 15th, you see the light, right? And some of this happy goodness that's trying to show up here is probably what will help you get there. Let me know in the comments, come back to this video, and let's all report back to each other. What was it like to go through this once every 12-year goodness window, Thursday through Sunday? All right. What happens here for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising is a beautiful energy of you've been dealing with exalted Jupiter in your sign since last June, or June 10th, leaving at the end of June this year. And yes, it's not all been a bed of roses, retrograde, Saturn square, a bunch of other complications, but this is one of the best times here for you, because not only is he in direct motion and visible in the sky, and also highly connected, beautifully connected, right, to ops for a time of renewal and thrival and relief and happiness after a time of travail, challenges, and difficulty. That's what you're coming into Thursday through Sunday, without any other story here. But that combination of planets is happening to connect with Venus for the first time in 12 years. I mean, Jupiter is. And so there can be a windfall where Venus is sitting, pennies from heaven, so to speak, surprising you out of the blue. There can be some supreme financial or other benefits from a sibling one older than you. And there also can be a new alignment that feels like gratitude, attitude, as some of your long-range goals and plans and dreams begin to manifest and be visibly true before your very eyes. It's like the fairy godmother and her wand, Venus, is rolling out the goodness, right? And she's applying in the superior position to Jupiter. She's got a lot of strength here. She wants to bring you surprises, especially the 22nd, 23rd. But in the meantime, she's just sort of giving you this like tap on the shoulder, letting you know you always had that goal, that wish, that dream. I'm here. You always wanted your career gains to feel enjoyable, fun, and easy. I'm here. So something good is showing up here. And you might want to let go, release, or surrender in a destined, faded way, patterns and habits, so you can break free and break through, especially if you got fixed beliefs in your thinking third house. Now, the third house is where we think, and it's ruled by Mercury, all muddled up in Pisces. So what thoughts or beliefs, especially the ninth house is a belief house, what beliefs have you been holding that have held you back, and you're ready to let go of them? And if your floating IC is in the third house, they may be ancestral or family of origin beliefs that you adopted. So, you can sort of cut loose, what is that thing? There's an expression I want. I don't know. I can't get it now. But you want to cut loose of this and let it go. There's beliefs that you have under your hood of your car. When's the last time you looked under your hood of your car and checked your oil yourself? When's the last time you looked under your belief hood and saw what was operating underneath? Is that oil all greasy and old and crusty and muddy and dirty? Because you can take the oil of belief out from underneath the hood and replace it with clean, clear oil. And so something like that metaphor is trying to happen here. You want to replace old beliefs with new ones and have breakthroughs because of it. Because by changing a belief, right, like changing the oil in your car, you're going to have a domino effect, and it's going to affect how you approach your audience, your marketplace, your business partners, your sibling relationship, 3 older or 3 younger than you, or breaking through a domino effect in how your operating system works in the long-term committed love and marriage zone of your life. You could come into meeting somebody Thursday through Monday for the first time. You've never met them before. They may be coming through a professional area of your life, a job area, a professional area. And this intersection of destiny completely changes your life. A domino effect for whoever enters your way, your path, through the 7th house. If you're single, by going out with friends, going out to social events with friends, by hanging out with colleagues after work, by doing something in a public setting with groups of people, this can domino affect you into a destined and fated new love story. And you may meet somebody in this destined and fated new love story because some of what I'm describing connects to your professional direction, but some of it may not. It could be any which way that you meet somebody and bang, you're in a new relationship. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Don't say no to friends who ask you to go out to play. Say yes. All right. So I need to get some water. So I'm going to finish you and then we're going to move on. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. If I'm annoying you with that request, please consider it just apparently a best practice that I fail to do enough of according to my YouTube manager. But hey guys, put a lot of love into this stuff, and the subscriptions matter in terms of the algorithm. So thank you. All right. And if I don't think you have anything to worry about here, but I think you could come into a windfall. I mean, 100 Ways to Sunday, I'm kind of seeing that might happen for some of you. Not every sign gets this. So I'm not repeating but you do. And a chunk of money could come your way this week. Okay. Thursday through to Monday. And that's something to be looking forward to. Now, I'll be right back. I just need to get water. And then when I have water, I can keep on talking. You know what I'm saying? And we are rolling on into the next part of our show. Let's talk about Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign on this glorious week ahead that we haven't seen for 12 years ago. And that is going to be the glory of Venus, the glory of love. Thursday through to Monday, coming through Taurus and hooking up with Jupiter at the very basic level. Of course, this is opportunity because we have thrival and growth and expansion and goodness and happiness after times of great difficulty. Jupiter with Ops, the wife of Saturn, right here. Hope you watched the intro to know why that's all important. And this is Venus up here looking at Jupiter from the career space. Now, the career space is like up here because everyone sees you accomplishing things. So if you're retired, what are you accomplishing in the eyes of the world? For most people, we accomplish things that visibly get noticed because we're in what we call a career path or a job path or professional a direction. You might find that the accomplishments are, something different as a retired person, but how you're visibly noticed doing things is what I'm talking about. And Venus at the top of the sky. So we have weddings and wakes and baptisms and bar mitzvahs up there. It's these big public celebrations as well, ritual as well. So up here, Venus, she's flowing to Jupiter. Some really good developments, positive news regarding your professional success or your public reputation or your visible actions in the world connected to prosperity done in and behind the scenes. Now, I like this energy if you are someone who does digital income or borderless revenue or international, you make money internationally somehow, or you are somebody who's doing a lot of work behind the scenes, kind of like not in front of the world. And that kind of behind the scenes work that you're doing is going to bring, because maybe some of it's been stressful, but it's going to bring some kind of luck. So maybe a new job opportunity, an advancement, a promotion, a raise, some acceleration in your professional life is showing up here for sure. We'll notice that we have to release, let go, surrender, perhaps South Node. Destiny says, let go. And Siwa says it's a fixed pattern. It's something that's got you stuck. You want to regenerate, renew, regenerate, break free, and break through. It's a money story. This is your earnings, your resources. This is the money that you have because you can put it in your wallet and possess it. It's not money that's invisible. It's money that you possess. So your financial resources, possessions, etc. Okay, what's going on about the releasing, letting go, surrendering? Well, Mercury says it's something to do with the eighth house. Could be you're relying on spousal support. You're relying on your inheritance money. You're relying on a little investment stash in a 401k. And maybe that's not the place you should be focused on because Mercury is in debility there. And the releasing is, by Mercury, covered by Mercury in the eighth house, who rules your south node here, the south node. So there can be some realignment coming this week, Thursday through to Monday, with how you are your beliefs about money. Remember how Siwa could be about breaking through a fixed belief. And sometimes we just carry stupid money beliefs, right? Like, parents said, stupid things to us and we took it on as real. You'll never amount to anything, or, no one in our family gets rich, or money is a struggle, or money, what is it? Easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Or, the love of money is the root of all evil. It's not money, it's the love of money. But anyway, anything you got indoctrinated by belief structures from your family, maybe can be, you're going to let go of those limiting beliefs Thursday through to Monday, because something is trying to happen in a domino effect. This is the work environment. We're talking about this triangle between 2, 6, and 10 forming in our sky Thursday through Monday. That is like how you are going to see some divine flow. It's going to impact your finances positively. You're going to have a breakthrough, free or breakthrough energy, I believe. But what this is here too is like one small domino thing. Like, okay, this is debts, all right? Credit cards, banks, loans, mortgages. Maybe you're in the habit of missing your payments. Maybe you're in the habit of, something to do with indebtedness, that you're going to break a pattern. And that one small pattern breakage dominoes into something bigger, like success financially. But it also can be the work and where your job situation is, or your employees are. And there's a pattern interrupt there. There's going to be some kind of one small thing that you do has a completely different result down the road, like the snowball going downhill or the dominoes, falling down in a good way, because it lights you up for surprising, exhilarating, positive lift in your professional and career storyline. I like that for you guys. And then, of course, there's a possibility, just because the moon will be in your 7th house, and that's Jupiter is being ruled by the moon, there may be some positive things going on in the professional life of a spouse. So their professional domino effect, things that are going on in their work and professional life could benefit you, right? It's a possibility. And so there's also not just about you, but also about them and their work and their professional success, their job success. One last thing to say about this sky for you. No matter which way you slice and dice it, your Jupiter, your Mercury North Node story, those are very spiritual places in the chart. So allow for the possibility also of some important movement in your spiritual philosophy, maybe having a spiritual awakening or opening coming up, and maybe even in a dark night of the soul. That would be very Jupiter, Ops, angst, 12th house, 8th house stuff. Mercury's been in your 8th house far too long, February 7th to, we'll be there till April 15th. And maybe you've been in one long dark night of the soul. It could be about net worth, money, financial obligations, debts, indebtedness, financial struggles involving children. Jupiter rules your house of children, and you've been in a quagmire for 2+ months. Well, that's about to turn around Thursday through until Monday. One of your children could have a breakthrough. Jupiter rules the house of children. If they've been going through a hardship and difficulty, they feel like they've been in a dungeon of life, then maybe they are also experiencing a breakthrough, right? So for your children as well, some positive breakthrough. Maybe it can be financial breakthrough, job and work breakthrough. So some important turning points Thursday through Monday in the life of one of your children. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Kind of like the vibe here because you're letting go. You are Siwa, South Node. destined, fated, surrender and release, death and rebirth and regeneration, breakthrough and break free, connected to fixed patterns and beliefs. Where you're stuck, you're getting unstuck, and you're getting unstuck in your identity. If it's your Virgo sun, it's in your career and, you know, your soul path. If it's your moon, it's how you think and feel in your emotions, getting unstuck there. And if it's your rising sign, something very personal to your character and the simulation and how you operate in life is getting a break free, breakthrough vibe. Thank you, Siwa, Slavic goddess of alive and living. Are you feeling like you're alive and living in your life, or are you just surviving and treading water to stay afloat? There's something about this shift that may be very important for you Thursday through to Monday. At the same time, we see a domino effect in the 5th house. Now, I'm going to say, please use birth control if you're of the age to have babies, or if your children are going to domino, then I mean, you could tell them to use birth control, but I'm just saying, because this is like a domino regarding children and grandchildren. Both of those are true. So getting pregnant or your kids having pregnancies, but it's also surprising, but it's also positive because, you know, that one time we had sex without protection, or that one time that, you know, the IUD feels like, you know, 1% of the time was my lucky time. So there's a domino effect in the house of sexuality, love, and romance connected to fertility, Venus. Again, it could be a domino, a surprising energy around announcing, here comes a grandchild, or, you know, your partner or you are pregnant and it was unplanned. That's a possibility under the sky, but it's a positive trine, and it could help you like let go of old fixed patterns and stuck beliefs, because now you're going to be a grandparent, or now you're going to be a parent. Right? This is exciting if that's something that's needed in your soul's journey. Because Jupiter, the sperminator with Ops, wife of Saturn, but also, you know, opportunity, thrival, growth, and green thumb energy with Jupiter in the 11th house is witnessing the fertility house. So there's a lot of potential there for this looking like a kite. There's a kite. Remember the kite? There's a kite pointing through the fertility and pregnancy house to the, you know, god of children, Jupiter. So opportunity for children, right? Now, you have a sibling one older where Jupiter sits. There can be some thrival, excitement, and growth and surprises in the life of a sibling. My Virgo rising daughter has a brother who's having a baby. Maybe they're going to find out there's twins in there or something unusual. But I'm just saying, because apparently it's one baby, but we'll see. But I just want to let you know that whatever it is, Jupiter in his position is in his joy. That's a house where he's extremely well positioned. And so Jupiter in his joy is bringing you joy, but he's also bringing you luck. And this is also a windfalls house. So pennies from heaven, windfalls, the actualizations of hopes, dreams, and wishes are yours. Venus is applying from the 9th house of dharma and purpose. But she also rules things like in this position, guides, advisors, human resource departments, headhunters, you know what I mean? So you could be on a runway for a new job, or maybe something getting ready to come. If you're going to get a new job and you want to hear about that, it's probably before April the 15th under the sky, most likely. And so that's something that could really open up doors for some of you looking for new directions and professional directions in your life. And what you have to let go of or surrender or release, because you do have like wishes and dreams come true and long range plans fulfilling themselves, and maybe some lucky breaks financially. But anyway, what I want to remind you of is that Mercury is the ruler of what you're letting go of, and he's in the house of other people that are important to you. So you may be letting go. You could let go of a job contract. You can get out of releasing yourself from a current job contract, especially with the moon where it's in a work house and ruling Jupiter. But otherwise, you might have to let go of some attachment or pattern in a current long-term love relationship, right? Doesn't mean you have to let go of the relationship. You have to let go of a pattern or a way of being or a fixed belief about who you are in that relationship. Okay? It's very subtle, but it's important to note. All right. You're trying to grow a bigger pot for your relationship. You've been trying to do that since January 11th of 25. You'll continue to grow a bigger pot so your relationship isn't root bound. If you have a relationship, you'll continue that growth until the end of July. And so the North Node says you expand the terms of service in your long-term committed love, buy a house, move in together, get married, or not, you know, but like there's going to be changes there. And this is going to bring some of your attention to what your beliefs are regarding what is possible in the relationship that you're currently in. If you're in a relationship, does this look like you could start a new relationship? Maybe. But if you do, it's somebody from a distant shore, far off land, or foreign place, or connected to your work environment for single Virgos wanting to start a new love story. I just sounded like Min No Pond. Talks like that. All right, Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. And if you like my videos, guys, please hit that like button, but more importantly, subscribe. Thank you. You're Libra, you're ruled by Venus. Venus is going to, for the first time in 12 years, Thursday through Monday, going to flow in a beautiful trine to Jupiter, sextile to Jupiter. And this is very good for your money and work. Okay, so here you are at the top of your work sky. You're like exalted and you're doing well. And now, but you've had some struggle. Oh, yeah, some angst up there. And, Ops is saying, no worries. Here comes a time of goodness and happiness and thrival after a time of difficulty and struggle in the work area, in the reputation area, in your professional area. And then Venus says, here's some money, probably because she's in the house of chunky money, a giant commission check, a performance upgrade, a massive chunk of money, not like given to you all at once. Here's that chunk of money. Take it already. Thanks. And with the moon ruling what Jupiter's up to, as you go through the weekend itself, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, vibing into it, it can potentially look like chunks of money coming from things like it can come from an inheritance and it can also come from a lucky break. Okay. So both are true. You have the Pholus or dominoes effect in the fourth house, something you do in and from your home or connected to your mom and dad or interactions with mom or dad will have a domino positive effect in your life, opening up a beautiful triangle between 12, 4, and 8, which is going to involve the more likely land, property, real estate, and money. This can include inheritances. But this can also be a big turning point for Libras on a spiritual journey. And this could open up a domino effect from something going on in your home or close to home to do with a surprising level of spiritual illumination. You want to let go, regenerate, renew, and release. On the south node of fate, where we had a March eclipse in your 12th house. That eclipse is to let go and release self-undoing, addictions, bad habits, and patterns. It's also to release and let go of karmic and ancestral issues. Past life vows of chastity and poverty could get in the way of your enjoyment. Or you might find, things that happen in your childhood that you've held on to as a way of like operating in life aren't serving you. In particular, watch for workaholism. Mercury is in your work house and he's in detriment. So if you've adopted a workaholic pattern, and a lot of Libras have a hard time with the work-life balance, then you're going to have a bit of a turning point Thursday through Sunday, but it can also be accompanied by job and professional opportunities that give you more space to remove yourself from the overworking energy. And you could get some really cool energy coming here as well. Some of you, where a change in your home could occur through small things that occur now. Like I'll give you an example. You apply for a job that you think you're underqualified for, and it requires moving to another city or town or country or something. But you're just throwing your hat in the ring and it's not a big deal. You're almost thinking, what the hell, if I don't, you may as well apply. And the next thing you know, you're going through the interview process, or you got the interview and it's okay. And then even then it doesn't matter, but then they love you and you take in a domino effect. Next thing you know, you've got some professional real up level, but it may involve a change of where you live. So there's just an example of how small things Thursday through Monday will have a long-term snowball effect in bigger ways than you could imagine. So the smallest things become the biggest things over time that occur. All right, during this week ahead, use a gratitude attitude here, right? Jupiter's blessing your career house. Yes, you've had some struggles. You probably overworked. This has got a lot of workaholism in it under this sky. And but you're going to turn a corner. Yeah, you. Yeah, you. All right. I don't think it's good for starting a new relationship. Sorry, I don't like Venus in the 8th house for a new beginning. So this is not about you. It's not about love. I mean, I know you guys sometimes want all of this to be about love stories, but it is not about that this time. It's about your work and it's about your identity and it's about your ability to change patterns that are from past lives and deep, deep roots of your childhood in a big pivotal way that is going to spin out a whole new world. It's a whole new world, over the course of the next few weeks after this. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. What the heck? Looks like you've got a huge energy going on here of Venus in the house of significant long-term love partners and your audience marketplace and anyone important that you meet or will meet or are in relationship with one way or another. One thing about Venus here is that your significant other in long-term love will benefit from this. And yes, if you're single, you could meet somebody connected to foreign lands, foreign shores, and far off places, academic settings, international settings, court and legal case settings. So that could bring a new person into your life. And if so, then of course, we got the node of fate in the house of romantic love. All right. So there's a potential for that to be true this Thursday through Monday for some of single yous. But if you're with somebody, look for something positive going on in the life of your significant other. Jupiter in your ninth house is going to be talking for the first time in 12 years to Venus. Where is this place of struggle that will have a happy ending? Because Jupiter Dharma energy wants to expand you towards truth, knowledge, and wisdom in alignment with your truest calling in life. You could be in university and you think you're doing terrible on your grades. You could be struggling to win a court matter, but you could also be more deeply trying to, or you could be struggling in a book publishing deal, but you're trying to find your alignment of meaning and significance and purpose in life. Jupiter's been opening that gateway for you since June of 2025, closing out at the end of June. And now there's an opportunity, a thrival, a door is opening here, trining you, flowing to you. With Mars, the Lord of your sign right now in the workhouse, you could have professional opportunities, sure, but you could also have opportunities connected to better health. And the other part of the Jupiter story in the ninth house is it could involve a sibling 2 older than you or 4 younger, and some thrival opportunities with that sibling or in the life of that sibling. With this Pholus effect, a domino wants to start tumbling, right? There's a domino effect in your third house. Something to do with your local environment, your everyday world, like the supermarket, the gas station, the neighbors in the neighborhood, the everyday environment that you swim in. Like I love Adam Ellenbus always called it like the fishbowl in which you swim. Well, that fishbowl in which you swim on the daily has something occurring Thursday through Monday that will domino. Now, because Saturn is ruling the domino effect Pholus, it could involve matters to do with your local everyday world and themes of work or pets. Work or pets. Okay. So like you don't have a pet, you went out on an adventure with a friend, you crossed by a pet store and then you looked in the window. Next thing you know, you didn't want one, you wanted a litter of them. There's domino energy, local environment, pets, local environment, debts, and maybe elimination of debts, local environment and work opportunities. You're wandering about and you get lost on your way and you pass by a help wanted sign. And next thing you know, you're not in a new job. You're going to be in a new career. So there's little bits and pieces. This is like, look for the synchronicity, look for the magic, all right, in your everyday environment, Thursday through to Sunday. Well, got a lot of luck with Jupiter in the ninth and the North Node in the fifth. And Mr. Ballot Box and Mr. Lottery Ticket is Mercury. And even if you don't think this stuff works, you're one of the signs today that has the potential for winning money. And therefore, the domino effect is you bought a lottery ticket at the local 7-Eleven. So I'm going to tell you guys Thursday, okay, even start Wednesday through to Sunday, buy yourself a lottery ticket for goodness sakes. You are one of the few signs today that has the potential for winning money. End of story. And tell your partner to do the same. He also has the potential in his or her daily world to pick up that winning lottery ticket. All right. So both which ways you go, you or your partner, significant partner, if you have one, can win some money. And kind of through the weekend, Saturday, Sunday moon in your 4th house. Just before that, Thursday, Friday, moon in your 3rd house. But moon in the 4th house as you go through the weekend could mean some really great financial breakthroughs could occur connected to your lucky breaks with regards to ancestral line monies coming your way or money coming to you regarding home property or for home property and real estate. And but even though Thursday, Friday, the moon in the 3rd house says go buy the lottery tickets. All right. Jupiter Jupiter. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. Jupiter is the lord of your sign. Jupiter has been traveling in your 8th house of chunky money, inheritance money, spousal separation money, divorce money, widowhood money, insurance payouts, tax rebates, investment money in stocks, money that is money making money. Okay, you got the lay of the land. It's not a paycheck. All right. It's shared resources, other people's money, and unearned income. And Jupiter has been going through your 8th house since last June, and he leaves at the end of this June. And there have been some struggles, perhaps, just because, Jupiter was square Saturn, Jupiter was retrograde, but now Jupiter's doing none of those things, and he's with thrival, opportunity, and happiness and good things after a time of struggle in that money house. If you're spiritually inclined, it could have been a dark night of the soul, and now you're having a spiritual renewal and a spiritual awakening, right? Especially if you struggle with any kind of depression, anxiety, or difficult psychological issues, and this could be a big turning point for you. As Jupiter is in this condition in the 1st and 12-year time frame of flowing to Venus, right, in Taurus, her home kingdom, this can also be a massive turning point coming up Thursday through Monday to eliminate debt. You have a mortgage or debts or indebtedness, or someone owes you money and they pay it back. And it feels like a relief and a time of success after a time of financial indebtedness and difficulty. In fact, you could have some surprising eliminations of debts or breakthroughs with debts all the way through to the 23rd of April. Your 6th house is a work house. You could get a performance review, sign-on bonus, severance package, chunks of money through the work house is possible vis-a-vis the chunks of money house, and feels very lucky for you. You'll notice as well that you have an asteroid called Pholus in a earnings, money, and resources house. Looking at Jupiter for the opportunity up here, making a wedge to Venus in the workhouse. If financial issues have been plaguing you, financial problems, you have a domino effect. You could spend money, you could buy one thing, or you could have one particular thing go on in the money, earnings, and finances domino effect, Pholus. And it may connect you in some regards to the idea that an artistic, creative, or entrepreneurial project could have a spin-off Thursday through Monday where suddenly that thing takes off. And with this part of your chart in your career space, Siwa South Node, she's like the pattern interrupt. You've got fixed beliefs. You need to renew, regenerate, die and be born again in your career ambitions. And patterns of old ways of being in a professional direction or your reputation, etc., need to be dealt with here, will be dealt with. The sky's dealing with it. You don't have to do a thing. However, Siwa is ruled by Mercury in your 4th house. I want you to go back to like February 7th through to ends on April 15th. What kinds of conversations have been happening or negotiations have been trying to happen regarding land, property, real estate, inheritance money, spousal separation agreements? What kind of confusion and vacillation has been going on in the home with someone you live with, particularly maybe a spouse, if you have one? Mercury rules your spouses. That has been confusing and backtracking and uncertain. But now, don't worry, by mid-April, you'll be certain. Sometimes just Siwa South Node is letting go of your reputation. And maybe, like, for instance, you got raised Catholic and you're not allowed to get a divorce. Well, I don't think that's true anymore. But, if you have beliefs that don't serve you, fixed beliefs regarding I'm married and I'm going to stick with this no matter what, hell or high water, this has a signature of turning that around and maybe making a different decision. Actions and decisions regarding long-term love relationships have a huge consequence on your finance in a positive way as you move through Thursday through Monday. If you're going to look at inheritance monies, and that can come up in this kind of chart, and it may involve siblings, inheritance money and sibling stories, land, property, and real estate from family of origin and siblings, those things Thursday through Sunday are trying to move into a state of flow, ease, and grace. All right, so that you can make important decisions and move in the right direction under that sky. And all said and done, I do want to say that you do have Jupiter in a money house. And he's with ops and opportunity and thrival. And Venus is a money goddess in an earnings house connected to work, like job and work related stuff. So you look like you can have a nice up level in your professional accomplishments connected to your financial baseline coming up Thursday through Monday. And let's see how that goes. And let me know, come back here and let me know in the comments. I mean, Venus does rule your house of windfalls, but she wants to deliver a 6th house windfall, right? Someone pays a debt back, kaboom. You get a massive, sign-on bonus, severance package, performance review check, or something like that could emerge this week ahead for you. Well, Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign, nothing to complain about here. Jupiter exalted in your long-term committed love house. Well, if you're in a relationship already, this benefits your significant other, right? And Jupiter's been here since June. Then he retrograded for 5 months. And then he was squaring Saturn in the beginning, so last June. So now he's finally clear and free, direct motion since March 11th. Kaboom, visible direct, not encumbered by a tight square to Saturn. So this is where the relationship you're already in wants to move forward, or your partner wants to move forward, and they're experiencing real momentum, and your long-term love partner therefore could be coming after a time of struggle and difficulty into a time of ease and goodness and luck and thrival, right? Ops. But for the first time in 13 years, you have Venus in your 5th house, which is a windfalls, good fortune vibe, good fortune placement. She's in her joy. This is where we can have good fortune and money, especially if it's like speculation or gambling. Okay. So speculative and gambling directions can be favorable for you and or a significant other, or your significant other wins the money and you're participating in the money and you feel very good fortunate, and Venus is in her joy. So why not? You're looking at the possibility of fertility and pregnancy if you are not unexpected fertility and pregnancy, if you are of the childbearing, rearing age, and you or someone are going to get pregnant. Also, excitement around soulmate grandchildren coming through here, like all of a sudden, unexpectedly or surprisingly or exhilaratingly, you're going to be a grandparent. And if you're going to be a grandparent, well, then Mercury can suggest that it may be a return of a sibling in your life who's coming through as your grandchild. You're going to notice, I'm not going to explain it all why. You're going to notice that the energy of the Pholus effect is you. You are the one who tips the dominoes over. You're the one who rolls the snowball down the mountain because you are Pholus. So you're going to do something potentially inconsequential and unconscious. You didn't think it was a big deal. Pholus opened a bottle of wine. It did cause the Trojan War. But your Pholus effect is lined up to an earth trine. 1, 9, and 5, which is lucky, good fortune, Venus and dignity and our joy. Something you're going to participate in as an agent of change is going to be a domino effect in your life. Now, it can be a domino effect because you thought having sex without protection that one time on that one night stand was going to be inconsequential, and now you're going to be a parent. You could go there, but it could also, you just bought a lottery ticket thinking what the hell, and you won. So this is definitely one of the signs for lottery ticket wins. So please buy the lottery ticket. The other element of the domino that you could turn into something may have some connections to where you live. Saturn is ruling Pholus, and Saturn is fallen in the 4th house, and Mercury's connected to your rental property house, who's all entangled in this story. It may be a story where there's going to be one small thing that dominoes you into a new home. More likely rental home than it is purchasing home. I could be wrong, but it looks to be, it could be a nice domino effect Thursday through to Sunday to do with a change of home. But it doesn't mean you're going to move your home Thursday to Sunday. No. Something you do or happens in your life then will snowball into a new place to live. And it may seem you can't connect the dot till later, right? Anything that you do, honestly. I went to Thursday. I'm going to move us back a day or two. I went to Monday, I mean. Okay, here. So what domino effects could you have happening? Well, especially possible that you may find yourself doing something seemingly inconsequential to do with buying something or spending money, but it can impact your bottom line and your wallet very strongly in a good way, right? Because of the moon sitting in your 2nd house on Saturday and Sunday. I definitely want you to buy a lottery ticket. Okay, end of story. Just buy one. There's a handful of your signs that are good for lottery tickets this week ahead, more so than other signs, especially if it's your rising sign, Capricorn. Excuse me. Mercury is going to move out of your third house right around the 15th of April. So that's a good time for you to then think about if you want to negotiate a lease or sign a contract for purchasing a home, which you could even do that too with Mercury's help after the 15th of the month. Okay. So after the 15th of the month, there becomes a door for that kind of thing to be more visible to you. So, but this today's forecast is taking us from the 6th to the 12th, 13th. So there's a little bit of a delay there, but the domino effect will show up as some small thing you do in and from the home, most likely connected to long-term consequences about where you live. And if you're single looking for a relationship, and the Pholus effect is here, hooked up to Jupiter in dignity and a last and lifetime Saturn alignment with Jupiter and Ops in your 7th house. After a time of travail about single life, not being married, not having a partner, not having a life mate, something that you do Thursday through Sunday will domino itself out into a longer term likelihood of becoming mated with somebody and being in a committed and marriageable partnership. So it's certainly important to pay attention this week, especially Thursday, all the way through to Sunday, Monday, about what actions are happening in your world. It could lead you into a new love story. And you might just meet that person, because you're doing stuff, in the local neighborhood or close to home. A lot of that action is here this week ahead. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Aquarius, I am one of you. Welcome to the story of our week ahead. I'm excited. We're having something we haven't seen for so darn long. And I like it because I feel like 13 years ago, 12 years ago when this happened, I don't remember what my luck was. I'm not tracking it, but here it is again, Venus and Taurus in our home kingdom, trining Jupiter, sextiling Jupiter in his exaltation kingdom. Where fellow Aquarians, have you felt like you've been struggling in your work, in your health, in your addictions, in your indebtedness and debts? And we're even in your relationship to pets. So Jupiter is blessing your work house, employees as well, employer situations, connections to your livelihood. He's been thriving you up, exalting you ever since last June 10th, completing at the end of June this year. But because of retrogradation and a square to Saturn, some of you have been feeling a struggle here. Maybe like it's, maybe you bit off more than you can chew, or the workload is too big, or you have too many employees and it's like you're overwhelmed because that's Jupiter there. And he's blessing your health to find solutions to your health. That's for sure. But I want to let you know that with Venus now loving him up for the first time in 12 years from the 4th house with a last in a lifetime Uranus factoring in, which it wasn't there 12 years ago, Uranus, it kind of says there's some exhilarating breakthrough and surprise connected to the following storylines: property, land, and real estate, and things connected to rentals and rental properties. Debts, indebtedness, money coming from family of origin. Under this sky, you could be finding out that up your family line, somebody buried a treasure, for goodness sakes, and it's going to help you pay down debts or live more freely or something like that. But then we also have other energies playing out here. And one of them is that we have the South Node with Siwa, the Slavic goddess of alive and a living and a life force energy, who's also in charge of renewal, regeneration, and rebirth, as well as breaking free of patterns that are fixed and hold you back, especially belief patterns. Now, the 8th house can be a very deep psychological house, but can also be a house connected to money. South Node is to release and let go. And 8th house money can be money that comes in a chunk or you share with other people, like a spouse, inheritance money, money from investment monies. So there's a need to release something there, maybe a reliance or attachment on those monies, and have a pattern interrupt and a breakthrough of some sort. Siwa. And it flows to Jupiter, because this will be a kite. I drew it in the beginning. It flows to Jupiter in the house of debts, in the house of work, in the house of health. And it also connects to Venus, who's giving you nothing but fairy godmother energy in the 4th house. And now pleasure in the home, enjoyment of the home, grounding in the home, cooking in the home, entertaining in the home. Yeah, March 30th to April 23rd, right? She's here. But now she's hooking up to the rare sky, the kite that's here. So you could be really looking at also releasing something like an addiction, right? Mercury rules the house. Mercury is with the South Node is in the house of the mouth and what you put in the nose and mouth. And over here, the domino effects in the house of self-undoing. So there's a possibility for a few Aquarians, it's going to be that one small, thing you do that tumbles into a complete renovation of better health and letting go of some kind of attachment to a particular substance that's not needed in your life. And because I like the follow effect here, one small thing turns around everything. It's not like, it's kind of magical. Like if you're going to let go of an addiction of any kind or a substance abuse pattern, habit, or whatever, it's going to happen in a very easy, flat, flowing, and beautiful way. Spiritual liberation is connected to all of these houses, 12, 8, and 4. Possibly there can be a domino effect of letting go and surrendering because you can regenerate and rebirth some new pattern of beingness in this world. So it can have like nice energies for spiritual awakening, illumination, and all of that Thursday through to Sunday. The moon on the weekend, when this Venus is really hooked up tightly to Jupiter. So we're talking like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but particularly in the beginning here, Saturday and Sunday. The moon is in your sign, right? And the moon is directing Jupiter, or is Jupiter's boss. So really tap into your feelings. I know the moon in Aquarius is like Spock and Star Trek, but in a more logical but deeper way, tune into your emotions, Pluto moon energy, especially Saturday, about, looking below the surface. And it could even be looking below the surface of who you are in relationship to your childhood and your mother, because of moon Pluto, death of mother or under the surface with mother relationship. Venus is in the house of the mother. There's like go below the surface of your mother's story. Something is trying to happen Friday through end of day Sunday that could open up a whole new way of being regarding your work, your chunks of money, your enjoyment of life in your home and in your everyday world. There's a breakthrough with Uranus anyway, especially on the 22nd, 23rd. And this is like the foreshadow of that bigger breakthrough. Because of Mercury moving into your third house around the 15th of April, getting out of your money house where he's been for 2 months. Some of you have been dealing with this back and forth, changing your mind, uncertainty or confusion regarding the way you make money, the earnings, the resources, the possessions, your financial worth. You've been going back and forth, oh my God, since February 7th to mid-April with Mercury here. That's okay. He's leaving that part of your sky, but I have to, bring your attention to it because you do have, with the Siwa story and the South Node in your 8th house, it's like you're breaking karmic patterns connected to money. Okay, I'll use me as an example, I guess. My dad was a workaholic and he served the family and he raised the kids and he made all the money he needed to make to have a family that was happily financially sustained as a pharmacist, but he had no enjoyment of his own life, you see? And he fell into a slight addiction to beer as an escape route when he got home from work. So I'm just trying to explain to you that there are things going on in Aquarians' lives. It's rerouting and reprogramming your relationship to net worth, money, and resources. And you'll feel the brunt of that Thursday through to Sunday, but you'll feel good about that. You will be grateful for that. It will be positive for you. And yeah, you could get an unexpected financial chunk of money out of this story too, right? Because why not? Because of this chunky money. And this is Jupiter in the house of debts. And this is your home life, right? I don't know what it is. It could be really exciting, actually. I don't know what the money is. It could be some money coming your way. It's almost karmically destined for you, right? Should you play the lottery? You could play the lottery off of this too, all right? Just because of where Mercury's sitting, ruling the 5th house connected to this story. So yes, sure. Buy a ticket this week and maybe see the outpicturing of a win Thursday through to Monday. Now we're going to talk about the last but not least, best and always best Pisces. I'm going to have a foot massage with my daughter, then go out to a little dinner together, and I'm breaking my pattern of being a workaholic. I'm not going to work all day and do 5 videos. All right, let's talk to you about Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. You are ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter's in the house of good fortune, speculation, financial money could come to you through lotteries and tickets. I know a lot of you got that, but Venus says local store, go to the local store in your neighborhood, buy a ticket, and off to the races you go. So yes, Pisces, you could be one of the few winners in our, maybe half of you could possibly win money off of the sky. You are one of those signs this week ahead, especially Thursday through to Monday. We haven't seen this for 12 years, that Venus is hooked up to Jupiter in this beautiful sextile. We've never seen it with Uranus. So there's a positive surprise at breakthrough, break free, connected to opportunity, connected to house of good fortune. This is a house of your children. And Jupiter rules children. This is a fertility energy of like the pineapple goddess, Ops, thrival. After times of difficulty, one of your children could be thriving after times of difficulty. One of your children could be shocking you or surprising you that they're going to be having a child. If you've been also feeling your creative, artistic, and entrepreneurial stuff has been difficult, it's been a struggle, you're writing that book, but it's not going anywhere, you're getting that painting series done, but the gallery doesn't want you, your entrepreneurial business is all set up, but no one's buying, whatever. If that's been a struggle, that's turning around Thursday through Monday. There's some shifts here. Venus is in the house of siblings. You may benefit from a sibling, one younger or two younger, or any sibling in general. Also connections to a sibling, one older. So sibling energies highlighted here for potential abundance, turning points, success, and financial wellness in unexpected, surprising ways. So basically a sibling can benefit you in the abundance story. Now you'll notice that over here we have this particularly pattern interrupt, Siwa. Where are you not living and alive in your committed long-term love relationships? And where are you finding that you have fixed beliefs and patterns that are no longer serving you, or your partner does? If you're in a relationship, there's something that wants to break down to break through. So break free, break down, break through in a committed long-term love relationship, or in how you relate to your audience and marketplace if you have one. And at the same time, this week says, Thursday through Monday, this is ruled by Mercury in your sign. You hold all the cards. You need to make a decision. You need to think about it, and you need to communicate something to someone important to you, right? Mercury has been befuddled since, oh my God, February 7th to April 15th in your sign. Sure, you're thinking, daydreaming, maybe fantasizing, paying attention to dream messages and synchronicities. Those are good things to do with Mercury there. But also he's not more clear-headed in this sign. He's confused, and you might have been giving away your power to a significant other, listening to their advice instead of your own inner knowing. That would be a pattern under this. Now, Mercury on mid-April gets out of there and moves away from that problem, and you'll be more clear-minded about it and speaking more clearly. But I want to also point out that a domino effect is coming through here. Now, it can be a sibling, one older, that is influencing a massive life turning point. It can be connected to your career gains and your career ambitions, and it can be connected to your long-range goals, or a friend in a social group setting. Because Pholus, the domino snowball effect, is ruled by Saturn, it's going to impact your money. A domino effect is about to occur that impacts your money in a financially positive way. The Earth trine in houses 3 and 11 and 7, right? What do you truly desire in life? Venus asks you what you desire. You're having a breakthrough moment about your true desires in love, romantic, long-term committed love, and in regarding your money stories and regarding your professional goals and dreams. Thursday through Monday, I want to mention you could have a windfall through a lottery ticket purchase in the local area, but it's just as possible that a sibling will come into some money and then share it with you, because there's so much sibling activation from houses 11, 3, and 5. Even like literally, listen to me, guys, a sibling, one younger, two younger, three younger, three older, one older, like siblings all over the map. So look for sibling stories connected to positive turning points in your life to do with good fortune happening Thursday through to Monday. If you are thinking of having a baby or not thinking of having a baby, and you can conceive a baby at this point in your life as a man or a woman, as an egg bearer, as they say, or a sperm deliverer, then you are possibly going to be fertile as all hell this week. Okay. So I don't know if it's finding out you're pregnant or just getting pregnant, but watch out this week ahead through till Monday. There's definitely the possibility of an unexpected pregnancy, especially if you're going to take a romantic getaway or travel, or maybe just drink too much at the bar, Venus in your third house, and end up in bed without protection with somebody. And whether they're in the long term committed love with you or not, it could be a one off. Be careful. There can be pregnancy here. And lastly, you have a Pholus effect in the 11th house, which is really a house of windfalls. All right. So one small thing that you do can have a financial windfall snowball effect for you. It doesn't have to be a lottery ticket. It could be one small decision you make, one small action you take can domino into what feels like pennies from heaven. Like life is loving you up and the money story is on a turnaround route. Look at that stellium in your second house. Haven't seen that in decades. You're really turning around a wound around money since 2019, and you're going to step into a new kind of way of being successful financially. You'll see, wait and see. Even Jupiter can deliver a golden job opportunity that makes you more money if you need that under the sky, right? So Thursday through till Monday. All right. So that's all we have. Now, don't forget, I didn't always ask you to like, but more importantly, would you subscribe? That's what makes the channel really, really grow as well. Okay. And I want to do an outro, and then we're doing a short extended version for members only on my channel. I'm going to create a new tier. I've got a small tier. I'm going to make a bigger tier here for people who want to join and always get early access and extended members only content. So my cheapest tier is $3. So my next tier is probably $5 or $6. Okay. So it's not expensive. You can always quit. All right, guys. Synchronicities, magic, and miracles. That's my gig. And I want to talk about bibliomancy, but I want to talk about another thing. Okay, so bibliomancy is important. I have a dictionary. I carry it with me sometimes when I travel, but if I don't, it's at my home. It's always sitting in my morning meditation spot right here, looking at the fire and the candles. And if I have a question, and I just am still, I'll flip through the dictionary, open it up, and get the voila, the answer that I need. And that really does help me. That's not good. I'll talk about that in a minute. That's for the extended members only. That was a question I was asking about the war in Iran. But, okay, the word was nuclear. And nuclear weapons is what I landed on. That's my biggest concern. That's why I'm going to the members only for that. But I want to talk about our own life, our own synchronicities, right? So, another one, we don't have to do bibliomancy, like grab a book and stab it, or a Bible or something and open it up randomly. We can also use, I don't know, there's no name for this. It's not bibliomancy. We can call it social media mancy, because I find that another thing that's occurring for me with increasing frequency is I get YouTube recommendations on things that I don't listen to and people I don't listen to. And all of a sudden I'm listening to it and I'm like, that was exactly the answer to the question I had. But now I've started to harness it a bit more and use it, right? I used to do this with the radio. My kids grew up playing the radio game. Well, my teenage daughter did. It'd be like we'd be driving our car and I say, okay, what do you want? And Hallie, and she'd say, okay, the sixth song is a message about my relationship with so-and-so. And I say, okay. And I go, the third song is a question about my money. And then the third song that comes up on the radio station when you're driving the car gives you the money answer. And the sixth song for my daughter would give her the relationship answer. You'd be crazy. It's crazy how accurate this stuff is. There is a DJ. They're going to be putting out the songs in a certain order. What we're intuiting is that I knew the third song would be the money answer, and she knew that the sixth song would tell her about her relationship. So it's fun. It's exciting to do that. And now pay attention to what your social media scroll can do to you. For example, you could simply say to the universe, I am going to have a question, but the third, I don't know. You know how sometimes you get like YouTube will start playing new videos for me up next, it just starts playing them. I must have that setting where when one video stops, another goes on. Same thing I think with Instagram. You can say the third thing that comes through my Instagram reels is a message for me. So play with that, because today I had the most amazing experience. That's why I'm talking about it. And it really opened me up today to be feeling grateful for life and finding myself excited about life. Because I ended up listening for an hour and a half to a podcast with Amrit Sandhu or whatever. He's was got a great podcast, and I'm probably going to reach out to his guest that he had today to come onto my channel and talk to you guys. But it wasn't today. I'm recording on April 2nd. He probably had the guest on a few days ago, but I caught wind of it automatically, crazy, spontaneously popped up in my chart. Same thing with tarot readers. I don't even know that tarot reader, and suddenly on my phone or device, I'm being recommended them. I listen, and it's the perfect message at the perfect time. So start using these kinds of tools for your own life, because I think it turned my whole day around. That popped up as a recommendation. I listened to it, and I feel like back to myself. Very healing thing to listen to for my day today. And as the world goes to a little bit of a sky's falling hill in a handbasket, yeah, we need these kinds of intuitive support structures and interconnection with our own divine guidance. Now I'm going to stop this section. I'm running out of battery here, and say goodbye. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Everything about me, my Substack, my All Signs bundle, my classes, my Divine Timing Masterclass is coming up 5 weekends in May. Find out more about it in the description box below. Astrology is a map, but it's not a map of place. It's a map of time. What I love about teaching astrology and having people use this time map is that it helps them navigate their life. You wouldn't get out of your house and go ahead and start traveling without a literal map or a GPS unit, especially if you don't know the terrain. Well, astrology is the map. It is the terrain of time. And in our course, the Divine Timing Masterclass, we're going to be learning about 5 very powerful precision tools in astrology to time your best life. But here is the thing. This is a course that takes ancient timing tools and Time Lord tools, and yes, helps you navigate reality with greater ease and flow and even luck, because you know how to work with it. But it is not the only part that astrology offers you. It's not only a prediction map of time. Once you start going down the astrology rabbit hole, you, like me, begin to wonder about fate and free will, like who's in charge here? Because you're going to see the arc of destiny, and you're going to notice, if you use these timing tools, not only how to look forward, but how to look backwards. And one of the most surprising parts of this is that when we turn around and look backwards using astrology, we see pattern recognition and cycle repetition. And that is useful. Number one, it gives a sense of destiny and meaning to our lives, where we understand no choices we made were right or wrong. They weren't mistakes. The choices and actions we took were a part of a greater plan. The second thing I love about pattern recognition and cycle repetition, because it's pretty reliable, you can use it to time your best life, because you can say, okay, I've done this one before. I've been through this set of eclipses every 18 and a half years. I know how they operate in my chart. And well, it's never the exact same story in exactly the same way. The archetypes underneath the story are the same. Venus, Pluto archetypes, the love of power and the power of love, right? So like it's one energy playing out in different ways in our lives. And, you know, I mean, we can get like a jealousy and a betrayal story with Pluto, but we can also get the depth of love, true love, transformative love, and regenerative love. So how these stories play out depends on how you receive them and how you choose to interact with them. So in my Divine Timing Masterclass, I've chosen 5 tools that I think I can teach intermediate to advanced beginner students. And I have taught this class before in 2022 and 2021, but not all of these tools. I taught 4 of these tools, I believe. So in our class, if you want to join me in the Divine Timing Masterclass for 5 consecutive weekends in the month of May on Saturdays, I'd love to have you there. There's a little checklist on my website that's going to ask you whether or not you think you're ready for this class, because you don't want to take this class if you've never before learned the meaning of the planets, the meanings of the houses, how to recognize the astrology glyphs. If you don't know the rudimentary language of astrology, this course will not be for you. This is for those advanced beginners and intermediate students. And by the way, if you want to learn the basics, come to my Sky Reader course. Every September we begin, and this year's course will be at least 7 weeks rather than a traditional 6, to allow for a slower learning curve for some of you who find the pace a little fast. But I am teaching you a new language. All right, when you start off as a beginner, and no one learns Italian or Greek overnight. My name is Lori Lothian, by the way, and I am Lunatic Astrology, and we are learning together. I'm going to show you the website that I put up that shows you the basic layout of the land of this course that's coming up. It's going to be modular. There are 5 weekends. There are 5 courses. There are weekly Q&As that are attached to each module, which I go into a coaching mode or in a help mode to help you if you're confused on the tool or to guide you further. So you're getting the class with me, which will go at least most times 90 minutes minimum to 2 hours sometimes. And then you're going to get the actual follow-up for that module in a midweek Q&A with a replay for all of it. And you get to keep the course forever. It's evergreen. Once you take it with me, it's yours. You don't, it's like, it's saved for you on my teaching platform, and you can go back and learn it anytime. So I want to just say the 5 tools are modular because some of you may already know these tools and you're like, oh, I have to sign up for a 5-week course, but I already know 2 of the 5 tools really well, and I don't really think I need to learn it. I get that. So I decided to make it modular, but with an incentive for you to level it up and take that course, the whole package, because there's consistency of community. I have a Facebook group for you guys to meet in and chat. You can start your own WhatsApp groups if you want to really connect with each other. And there's also consistency of the content building on each other. But yes, you can do it in a standalone mode. So I'm just going to show you the website just to show you, it's not the final version. The enrollment cart won't open to the public until later on, I think about April the 10th. And if you're on the early bird discount, that's a different story. That was a sign up option. Let's show you the actual picture of this website that I mocked up for, getting the basics down. So I'm on my Lunatic Astrology website. Divine Timing Masterclass, enrollment doors open, April, and the date is coming. And a 5-week deep dive into ancient predictive timing tools. So you're going to get a weekly live Q&A call with me that you can come to, and you're going to get a private Facebook group. And I may put a Discord group up there as well. I'm not good at running them, but I have a fellow colleague who will maybe do that for me. And all the content is available for replay. And we start May the 2nd. And so here's what I want to say. Remember, the checklist I'm going to be giving you. I thought I wrote it in here, the FAQ, but it is like, if you don't know how to recognize a planetary glyph yet, you don't know the meanings of the 12 houses, you don't know rulerships, Venus rules, 2 signs, Libra and Taurus, and she's exalted in the sign of Pisces, then you're probably not ready for this class at all. And here are the actual module. So, planetary decades, and it's about your unique timing. It's a very cool tool. And I learned this years ago from Austin Kopek, and I use it in my own life just as a guidepost, but it's unique to your own natal chart and in the order of the planets in your chart in zodiacal order. So it's a really simple, but fun, but accurate timing tool for your life. The next one is Sphidaria, which is a very powerful time map. It's a little bit like Sphidaria, the Dasha system in India, where you have a Mahadasha and an Antardasha, meaning that Vedic astrology tool gives you certain years and windows of time, certain ages, and when there's one planetary power ruler over you. Like I just finished a long run through my moon Mahadasha, and now I'm in my Mars Mahadasha in the Vedic system. This is Sphidaria. It's a similar idea. It's an ancient Hellenistic timing tool. It's extremely enlightening, and it depends on whether you're born in the day and the night. And then we have solar arc times. I call it God's clock. This is my favorite tool. I've been using it for years, and I can't wait to teach that to you because I've got some insider hacks from a lot of experience over 7 years and thousands of clients about the best way to use God's clock. And you also have zodiacal releasing, karmic turning points using a lot of eros, a lot of love, and a lot of fortune. And this is a very powerful Hellenistic tool, and it definitely works. I've taught a class on it already, but I'm putting my guest teacher expert, Kaylee Michelle, in here. She taught this as an extra advanced module in my last Sky Reader, and she was really loved, and she's really good at giving you worksheets to do this and really learn it. And so I am so happy to have her sharing her wisdom for the 3rd week's class, my guest teacher, Kaylee. And then distributions through the bounds. These are your life's chapters. They're extremely, very useful. I remember Kamala Harris was out of the running for the Democratic Party. She dropped out of the race to be nominated at the convention, and everyone was tossing her out the door. And I looked at her zodiacal releasing back in the first election with Joe Biden back then, not the second election, the Joe Biden one where she became vice president. And I said, oh my God, no, she's going to be okay. And no one understood why, because I'm like, she's going to go to power here. How could she go to power when she got knocked out of the race for the presidency and Joe Biden took over the lead? Well, she became his vice president pick. So this kind of thing works. I did it with I have a fellow astrologer who was having a reading for me back then when I was first learning this tool from Ben Dykes back in the pandemic era. And I said, you're going to write like lots of books in this window of time. Now she's written 3 or 4 astrology books. And it was all in using the distributions through the bounds tool, which I'll be teaching. And lastly, we have bonus courses for self-study. So this is if you are literally going to take the whole bundle and you want to be there for all classes or just have them at your disposal for future reference. I love that I'm going to give you the annual advanced perfection tool video from a class I've already taught live, my solar return masterclass, and my natal progressed lunation course as well. Those are replays of 2-hour courses I've taught before with supporting documentation and slides. It's about a value of $99, $33 each. You get that because you want to sign up for the bundle. So I'm trying to incentivize people to sign up for all of the videos. All the information you're going to need in order to sign up for my class and to get enrolled for that class, and enrollment carts will open to the general public around the 9th of April. I'm using an auspicious election for that, for the early bird discount people who got on the wait list for that class, and there's a few hundred of you. I will be sending you the email. If you're listening to this video and you're not on the early bird discount wait list, then you can find the link to that wait list in this video underneath this video. Otherwise, if you're catching this later after the April 10th, 9th, 10th, then the information to enroll and the link to enroll is under this video. So I'm excited. To me, astrology is the tool that I use like I breathe. You know what I mean? I shower, I brush my teeth because I live and breathe it. But it's also a way to connect to the divine wisdom that's operating through my life. Because I can say, oh, no wonder I hit a wall last week, Sun, Saturn conjunct in Aries, and I'm an Aries sun and I hit a wall, and I can understand that wall, this too shall pass, right? That wall has a lesson for me and then it's over. I can anticipate things. I can work with them and not resist them. And then I can extract the deeper lessons of what I am experiencing because it's happening for a reason. So astrology to me is like how to know the mind of God. And that's one of the reasons I think I call this a divine timing masterclass, because we're looking at understanding the will of the divine in each of our lives by looking at the map of time in each of our lives. I hope that makes sense. I hope that's something that you can groove with, and we'll be getting that course going. And I'm excited in May to be teaching that to you. I'm moving in May, but I'm also teaching a class. That is what happens when you're in Aries with a Saturn Aquarius rising story going on, Saturn on the ascendant. You buck through anything, even a move in May, and I'll be sharing this class with you guys. I'm looking forward to it, actually. So come aboard. If you're not sure you're ready for the class, remember the checklist will be there for you. I think it was on the page. I didn't show it to you. Then no worries. You can always reach out to me by email. All my contact information is under all of my YouTube videos and stuff, and ask me to be more specific with your circumstance. The biggest risk you have is taking a class in astrology that is over your head. Then you continue to study astrology over the years and it's no longer over your head. And then you can use that class, you can go back and learn it. And I've had that happen to me where I've signed up when I was learning astrology for a course. It was too sophisticated for me. And then I went back later and I figured out, oh my God, now I understand what the teacher's teaching. So that's the worst case scenario is you jump on in and you're not quite ready. But hey, guys, you got to know the basics. So if you don't know the basics, it's not the class for you. I'll see you guys in the Divine Timing Masterclass in May 2026.
Lunatic astrology.